It is baseball season here again, and we are thrilled to be joined by the head coach of the Menard Eagles, Jordan Marks. And Coach, finished with a winning record last year. This is a program that you built over the past few seasons to where y'all are competing with just about anybody that you want to in Sinlaw. Bring us up to speed on your 2026 team and kind of how it's been going since pitchers and catchers reported.
Good, Marshall. Appreciate you having me on. Appreciate what you guys do for Central Louisiana baseball, first of all. But no, the guys this year we've been working hard. Last year it was a fresh group. We graduated 9 seniors the year before that, 9 starters, and so it was a fresh group, and I think we exceeded expectations. We weren't really happy with the outcome last year. Overall, we got beaten in the playoffs by a good St. Louis Catholic team, but we have over 800 at-bats returning. We have over 150 innings pitched returning. So these guys got a lot of experience last year and looking to have a great start and a good season this year.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, one thing that your program has been to in Menard baseball has been like this before, is to where early on in the season, you schedule Ash, you schedule Pineville, Tioga, whomever you need to, and you feel like that matchup is something that y'all want. And these are teams that y'all have beaten, early in March, kind of in the early part of that season. You can bring Pineville into your home field and beat them, and kind of, not really care who's on your schedule, but more about execution. Is that kind of where your mindset is?
No, that's exactly what we try to do. We schedule tough early, and throughout the schedule in the season, we schedule tough. But I really want these guys battle tested early, to see what we got, see what we need to work on. Ultimate goal is to be peaking around district time, going into the playoffs. But you never know what you're actually good at and what you're actually bad at until you battle test these guys. And so that's kind of our goal. It's been my motto since I've been here. This is my 8th season here. And just really throw these guys to the wolves, so to speak, and expose us and see what we need to fix and see what we need to work on as the season progresses.
Yeah, you certainly notice Coach Carbo doing that with his basketball team. They've scheduled tough. And you see where the payoff eventually starts to come. You mentioned those returning at-bats, over 800 bats from last spring. Talk about some of those guys that you'll be leaning on early to both be producers on offense, but also leaders in the dugout when y'all are at bat.
Sure, I'll start with Reeve Scruggs. He batted leadoff for us last year as a sophomore. Hit over 400. I think he ended the season at 420. Did a really good job for us at shortstop. He's returning. He's a junior this year. He's going to be in the top half of the lineup. Austin Parra was a true freshman last year. Caught 150 innings for us, and he hit over 300. I think he finished around 350, 340. And he batted in the top of the lineup. I think he was 2-hole most of the season last year. So those two guys, 1 and 2, really set the tone for us in the games, and for the season. They got on base a lot and moved runners and drove runners in. In the middle half of the lineup, Peyton Procell was there. He did a really good job. He was hitting over 500, middle of the season. He kind of fell off towards the end. And then you got senior Lane Evans. He batted cleanup for us most of the year. And James Tishner. We got guys that, we can really depend on and swing it really well. And, last year was the first time these guys have started. Like I mentioned before, we lost 9 starters the season before that. So all these guys were brand new, really didn't know what they could do in live, tough situations, and they all exceeded.
And so, yeah, kind of that trial by fire, a lot of these same guys experienced that on the football field in the fall. Peyton going from defense to having to play offense, and of course the basketball team leans on him as well. Austin was there, Austin Parra was there on the football team, and those are Iron Men, kind of playing both ways, doing whatever. You mentioned Peyton as a hitter, but also on the mound he's able to make an impact there as well. Let's look at that pitching staff a little bit. And who will be your innings eaters kind of in the first part of the season?
Sure. So Peyton led us last year on innings pitched. He threw 55 innings last year, and then you got junior J.D. Shelton threw 52 innings. So those two guys right there were kind of our 1 and 2 last year. Now they're a year older, a lot more experience. So we're gonna really lean on those guys this year. Gus Sipowicz, I know you guys cover basketball. Gus plays basketball. He came in late last year and threw a heck of a game against Kinder, and only gave up 1 or 2 runs through 6 innings, and gave us a chance to stay in the ball game and win the ball game. We eventually didn't, but lost to district. But Gus proved what he could do, and then he ended up throwing, 2 more games after that, one in the playoffs. And so we got expectations on Gus. And then James Tishner, he's been battling an arm injury that he's in rehab right now, but he's fixing to be cleared, hopefully. And he threw 14 innings for us last year. I'm really going to try to lean on him this year. And I've told him, I had conversations with him, said, look, man, we're going to go as far as you can take us. He's a guy with a live arm, though. He's a mid to upper 80s arm. I think when he comes back healthy, he's going to do some good things for us. So those 4 guys, Para threw some innings last year. And really, we're just going to have to, throw by committee after that. We got Reed LaRue is going to eat up some innings for us. He's a soccer guy that's played soccer the last 2 years and started. He does really good on the soccer field, and he does extremely well for us on the baseball field as well. So just going to lean on those 5 or 6 guys and see where it takes us.
What about your catcher when if Austin is out from behind the plate? Who's your backup there?
Tishner did a little bit last year, and Cooper Sullivan. Cooper Sullivan's been working hard, and he's a sophomore. He played football. He started in football this past year, and like I said, these guys are getting a year older, a year more of experience, and so we're gonna lean. Even though these guys are sophomores, we're still gonna lean on them. Last year we kind of used the excuse of, hey, we're young, we're inexperienced. This year, not the case, So I'm gonna put a little more pressure on these guys and see where it gets us.
Yeah, interesting to see how you can pick out 14 innings from a previous season and say, okay, we can build on that. It may be 50 this time around, depending on how things go. But just to be able to take that development and all of a sudden you're an upperclassman. You talked about your lineup. Sounds like you'll have your 1 and 2 hole back, where they were last spring. Do you see your offensive approach or what y'all are going to be able to do on offense to look the same as far as how you get on base, how you get those crooked number innings, or what y'all do to produce on offense?
So we really don't have the guys that drive the ball out of the ballpark, so to speak. I call them a bunch of ants. We're going to play like a bunch of ants. We're going to be scrappy. We're going to put pressure. We're going to run. We're going to do some hit and runs, some button runs, some drag bunts. Just kind of putting pressure on defenses and a pitching staff. And I call it it's a scrappy bunch. They play well together. They accept their roles really good as a unit, and just try to put as much pressure on defense and pitching staff as we can.
And looking at your defense, obviously, at the 2A level, your pitchers aren't necessarily coming out of the bullpen. They're coming over from the left side of the infield or something like that. So how are you looking to build your defense, knowing that you've got your aces and you've got your guys that can come in, but how do you stack it up behind the pitcher there?
Everybody's kind of it depends on who's pitching. That's what we kind of go with. It depends on who's pitching, where you're playing. A lot of these guys will play 3 and 4 positions each week, depending on who's pitching. But defense is something that I really focus on, that I, take a lot of pride in. And before we can get good offensively, I want to make sure our defense is good, that we can play behind our pitcher. You hear it in football, you hear it in baseball. Defense wins championships. So that's something that I've, kind of grabbed a hold on to and stuck with, and it's always worked out. People that play us say, oh, man, they're not going to make many mistakes in the field, and they can put pressure on you on offense, and that's our goal. So.
Yeah, I played for a coach that was defense first, didn't necessarily care if we had the most strikeouts or the most home runs. He wanted us to not have an error in the game. And looking into that development, and with your program, you have a mix of guys that come up through 7th and 8th grade and they're ready to play. They've probably been in the dugout on some varsity days like that. you also get guys that come in from other schools around the city. What's your approach to kind of developing those 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th graders to where you really, when you need to lean on them, once February rolls around, that you've got a developed program and not just a collection of players?
So our junior high coaches, and they've been doing it for a few years now. It's actually a guy that his name's Jack DeKaiser. He played for me. He graduated in 2019, and I actually coached him when he was in junior high, and so. He does a great job with our younger guys. They do the same exact stuff that our varsity level guys do. And so, look, when those guys become freshmen and come up to the varsity field with us, they've already had 2 years of the exact same training, the exact same verbiage, the exact same mentality as our varsity guys. So it's kind of just plug and pull at that point.
Let's take a peek at your early part of your schedule. I know you'll have that series with Ash again, like you did last year. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this conversation, a lot of those 3A, 4A, 5A, that's not a problem for y'all. But past kind of what your strategy is with the way you schedule early on, what are you and your staff looking for, besides obviously trying to win as many games, but particularly looking at some of your early opponents? How are you wanting those matchups to look?
So we start off when we open up the season with St. Mary's, and St. Mary's is in our diocese, so that's always a rival game. And then right after that Monday, we play the Tuesday. We go to North Dakota. And North Dakota is a game that we've had on the schedule for the past 8 years. They won a state championship last year. They beat us 6-8 here late last year. So our guys competed, and it was a ball game all the way into the 7th inning. And they scored a couple runs in the top of the 7th and beat us. And right after that, we got Oak Grove in a 3-game set week 1. And Oak Grove, I mean, if anybody around the state knows Oak Grove, they know they produce more championships than a lot of people. And then after that, we got a 3-game set with Ash, and then we have our big tournament with Ash, Tioga, Pineville, and the Red River Classic. That's always a good one. And so you'll see teams like Natchitoches Central. We'll play them. We'll play Buckeye. We play Grant. I've never been scared to play anybody. We always say, we got to line up and play no matter who it is. We really focus on how we play the game, not how our opponents play the game. And if you execute and do the things you need to do, you'll have a chance to win the ball game in the later half of the innings. So.
Yeah, that early season tournament at Menard's always been a great showcase for not only the teams in the area, but kind of watching y'all in that event each year. That's kind of been a kind of a quarter pole for the season. All right, where do we stand? How do we match up not only in the city but in our bracket? Because that select bracket in baseball, it's just as tough as the other sports. So kind of get you out of here on this. How do you think that bracket shapes up? In some of the top teams that will be fighting for for the postseason with y'all.
Yeah, no, Division III Select is about the toughest baseball division as there is in the state, top to bottom. Last year I think we were 11th or 12th. We were 2-7 after all that gauntlet of games we had. The first 9 games, like I said, we battle test our guys early, and then right after the 3-game set with Ash this year, we go to Tioga. We play Tioga at home, but right after you play a 3-game set with Ash, the following Tuesday you turn around and play Tioga, which is another local powerhouse that produces good athletes and is a really good program over the last 20 years. But Division III Select's tough. We try to win the games that we're supposed to win and battle to the end on our tough games and see where we stand. But I think with our tough schedule, all these teams are going to win 15 to 20 games. So does it really hurt us if we lose? No, not really. It helps us in the fact of it exposes us and it shows what we need to work on moving forward, going into our district and the later half of the season schedule.
Yeah, and you've got a great district as well with Kinder and schools like that are used to playing really good baseball. So the non-district schedule, it's a quality one. The district won't be any difference. And then assuming y'all get back to the postseason where y'all used to be in, it'll be a great bracket there as well. So the Menard Eagles, winning record last season. Coach Jordan Marks taking them into the 2026 season with a strong core returning, a program built, and what we hope to be an exciting spring season. So, Coach, we really appreciate your time and really looking forward to covering your program this year as y'all make a run back, back in D3 Select.
Marshall, thanks for all you do and all that 446 Sports does for Central Louisiana sports.
Yep. Can't believe baseball season's here soon, but yeah, it'll be a great one.
It's here. Thank you, buddy.